Louisa-Hatcher chapter of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution.
You gotta eat it. You gotta, it's right there. You gotta eat it.
Huh?
All the way up on your mouth. It's on. You gotta get right underneath.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as regent of the Louisa-Hatcher chapter of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, I now declare this meeting in session. Please stand if you are able. Daughters, we meet to further the objectives of our society, Daughters of the American Revolution, to honor the memory of our ancestors, to foster good citizenship, and to emphasize the privilege and duty of patriotism.
Give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known among nations what he has done. There are programs on your table.
They rejoice today and are jubilant in your righteousness.
Search for the Lord and his strength. Continually seek his face.
Remember his marvelous works that he has done.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for our patriot ancestors who had the courage to settle this great land and the vision to build a strong nation. We are ever grateful for the commitment of our society's founders to commemorate and perpetuate the spirit and purpose of those extraordinary men and women. Grant us wisdom and understanding as we strive to protect and preserve our American heritage so that future generations might continue to live in freedom and peace. In your name we pray, amen.
I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you lead the American flag?
I believe in the United States of America as government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Janet, would you like to lead the preamble to the Constitution? We the people of the United States,
in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America.
you may be seated. It's a pleasure to welcome you all. I am pleased to introduce, we have two honorary past regents today, Mary Lee Mann and Ann Peck. Please help me greet them. And I'm delighted to say we have so many guests today, I had to get a special list. So please stand when I call your name and we can wave. Tamara Belzak. There's Tamara. Jennifer Bush, Diane Kinder, Diane Kinder, sorry, Carol McConnell, Mary Meisenheimer, Linda Palmer, and Leanne Solider, Pamela Woodside, and then we have from out of town, Andy Harris from St. Michigan, and her two guests, Kitty Hamilton and Parker Mercer. And of course, our special guest speaker that we will introduce in a few minutes. Today, we are installing two members who have been waiting so patiently to get approved. They are Vivian Morgan and her daughter Rachel. You are welcomed as a member of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution and the Caloosahatchee chapter. Your eligibility for membership has been certified by the National Society by verification of proven lineal descent from an ancestor who gave aid to the American colonists during the American Revolution. The National Society was organized by Miss Eugenia Washington, Miss Mary Desha, Mrs. Ellen Hardin Walworth, and Mrs. Mary Lockwood, patriotic and dedicated women. They founded the organization for the purpose of cherishing, maintaining, and extending the institutions of American freedom for which Americans fought and died. The chaplain will give the oath of membership in the National Society of the Daughters of American Revolution. Would you please come forward?
Please raise your right hand and respond in the affirmative to the following questions. Do you promise faithful loyalty to the bylaws of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the State Society, and the Caloosahatchee chapter, God being your helper? Do you promise faithfully to uphold the Constitution of the United States and to respect the flag of the United States of America, God being your helper? Do you promise that at all times you will promote the objectives of the National Society to the best of your ability, God being your helper? May we pray. Our Heavenly Father, we lift our hearts in prayer, grateful for the blessing of liberty, for the privilege of membership in the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. We thank you for these new members who are willing to give their time, thought, and talent in service to the National Society. May their service be pleasing to them and to you. Amen.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Sir. We'll do a do-over.
All right, my man, I'm taking the glasses off. It's a vanity thing.
You look gorgeous every way, doesn't it? However you look. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Congratulations, we are thrilled to have you. The President General's message will be read by Pat Pearson.
Dear daughters, as we begin February, I am filled with excitement for the many, many meaningful moments ahead for our society. This year is already shaping up to be a truly remarkable one, and the weeks to come will reflect the energy, dedication, and purpose that define the Daughters of the American Revolution. I am pleased to remind you that registration for the DAR Genealogy Research Institute, GRI, is open. GRI will be held Monday, May 4th through Wednesday, May 6th, 2026 at our DAR headquarters in Washington, D.C. I encourage you to mark your calendars and plan to join us for this enriching experience. Looking ahead to spring, plans are underway for DAR to celebrate America 250 in a grand fashion. To commemorate this historic milestone, we will host a spectacular weekend of events this April, including a welcome reception on Friday, April 17th for members, America's 250th birthday party the morning of Saturday, April 18th, followed by a special concert event in Constitution Hall. DAR celebrates America 250, a salute to women veterans, featuring Patti LaBelle, the godmother of soul. Yeah. As a reminder, the America 250 events calendar is online and will continue to grow as we share our collective efforts nationwide. I encourage you to help build the calendar by submitting any public America 250 events hosted by your chapter or state society through the America 250 event submission form on the DAR website. This nationwide calendar provides an opportunity for chapters and state societies to showcase their America 250 events while encouraging participation within local communities and beyond. Events may be submitted and viewed by both location and date, making it easy for members and the public to discover opportunities to engage. But there is even more to celebrate. I am honored to share that DAR will serve as a host sponsor of the National Cherry Blossom Festival this year. This month-long celebration throughout Washington, D.C. culminates in a nationally televised parade on Saturday, April 11th. DAR will host the festival's opening ceremony in Constitution Hall on March 27th, and we will proudly participate with a special patriotic parade float. February will be a busy and productive month, including the start of many visits to DAR state conferences. There's so much to look forward to as we continue to get closer to our nation's 250th birthday. Thank you for all that you do in service to the DAR and to our shared mission. I look forward to all we will accomplish together in the months ahead. Faithfully, Ginny Sebastian Storage, President General.
Thank you, Pat. I think you can sit down now for a few minutes. The National Defense Minute will be read by Mary Lee Mann.
Yes, lots of holidays in February. Can you hear me in the back there?
Gotta have way close to your mouth. Gotta pour it like eat it.
Lots of holidays in February. I need those candy bars. Is that better? Can't hear me at all. So what am I standing up here for? Is it on? Okay, I've turned on the radio. I'll try.
Try again.
I probably do.
Well, I was trying to tell y'all that there are lots of holidays in February. We've had Valentine's Day, we're having President's Day, but I found one that I wasn't familiar with. I knew the story, but I didn't know there was a Four Chaplains Day celebrated on February 3rd. Because on February 3rd, 1943, during World War II, the U.S. Army transport ship Dorchester was torpedoed by a German submarine while carrying more than 900 servicemen and civilians across the North Atlantic. Amid the chaos that followed, 4 Army chaplains, Methodist Lieutenant George L. Fox, Rabbi Lieutenant Alexander D. Good, Roman Catholic Father John P. Washington, and Reformed Minister Lieutenant Clark V. Poling became symbols of selfless courage. As the ship sank, the chaplains moved through the dark and freezing decks, calming frightened men, tending the wounded, and helping others towards safety. When life jackets ran out, each chaplain gave up his own to save others, regardless of faith or background. With no hope of rescue left, they stood together, arms linked in prayer, as the Dorchester slipped beneath the icy waves. Of the more than 900 aboard, only 230 survived. The 4 chaplains whose actions reflected extraordinary faith and unity in service did not survive, but left a powerful legacy of interfaith cooperation, sacrifice, courage, and selflessness. Their bravery has been honored nationally. They were each posthumously awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and Purple Heart, and in 1961, Congress created the unique 4 Chaplains Medal to recognize their heroism. It's awarded to recognize acts of valor and dedication in the line of duty by chaplains in the military, particularly in combat situations. Observed annually on February 3rd, 4 Chaplains Day honors those who strengthen our national defense through courage, compassion, and unwavering commitment to others.
Thank you, Mary. The minutes of the January 16th, 2026 meeting were emailed to you. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved as distributed. Time for our reports. We have been busy planning our 100th birthday, not our 100th chapter anniversary. You're going to hear a long report in a few minutes. They have been looking for venues and starting to look through our chapter materials. But today, we are celebrating our 99th birthday, our anniversary, and we have a cake. Yay for us. We're also collecting baby shower items. That's headed up by Ellen. There's a table over there. We will be collecting them again next meeting if you forgot or want to bring some. And my other biggest news, I've been learning all kinds of things when I did the chapter master report. And I saw on there a little line about flag certificates. So Lee told me, yes, you can give a flag certificate to a business that you see regularly flying the flag. So I have some now, so if you want to give it to somebody, just let me know, and we will go make a little presentation. Our March meeting will be held back at the Forest on March 19th. Our speaker will be the president of Florida Gulf Coast University. I asked her to talk about the things they are planning for the veterans there. They're planning a new veteran center and some new programs for veterans. Treasurer, Barb, can we have your report?
Let me bring that here.
We have a temperament. Oh, there we go. I sound usually pretty loud. Hello, everyone, and welcome to all of our guests and our prospective members. I'm Barbara Karabatz. I'm the treasurer. By way of introduction, since a lot of people know me. I have a couple kind of miscellaneous things. Hang on. Okay. I just wanted to confirm we will have 4 delegates that will be attending the conference because, yay, it's determined on whoever's paid their dues as of December 1st. We had some residuals that got mailed in on 11/28, so I was anxiously awaiting whether those were going to count, but they do count. So we will be able to have 4 people, which is wonderful. There will be 2 members, unfortunately, that will be deactivating as of February 28th. One person we have spoken to, and she's just choosing not to continue with DAR. And then the second person, Nancy Spillman, if anyone knows her and can reach out, we've kind of gotten no responses, so I don't know if there's a challenge that we should know about or if there's change in address or anything. So if anyone could help with that, that would be great because that's automatic. She would have gotten many letters and emails from me and also from National. One just kind of a request, I would say. We're going to be working on, at our next board meeting, some of the allocations of funding for the remainder of this year. And as Tia said, we have so many things going on with anniversaries and things coming up. We're going to allocate some money. If anyone knows of monies that either your committees are going to spend or that we've done in the past, please let me know. Feel free to give me a call, drop me an email. That reminder would be wonderful. because things crop up that I'm not aware of, or share with any board member, because we're going to be discussing that at our next meeting. And then final thing I have is there will be a yearbook at the front, and Emily's getting ready to update the yearbook. If anyone knows that their contact information is incorrect on the national website, which is where this was downloaded from, please just take a minute to let us know so we can edit it. Let me know, let Em know, write it on the, I'll leave this at the back table, because we want to be able to make sure we can be in contact with everyone. Okay? And those are all my updates. Thank you, Tia.
Thank you, Barb.
Yes, you say Nancy Spillman or Carolyn Spillman? I said Nancy Spillman. But we knew it was Carolyn.
It comes up as Nancy on all of our paperwork.
Yes. Carolyn Spillman, I probably have to wait a year to remember him, but if that's the same person.
Let me double check. Okay. Thank you so much.
Emily, you ready for your report?
Good morning, everybody. You might have noticed this handsome young man joining us this morning. This is my nephew, Parker Mercer. He has graciously volunteered his time today to videotape. We're going to do a little bit of a test run for the next few months. We had a lot of interest from members who are unable to join us, whether they're sick, they're a caregiver for someone who is sick in their family, they're working, whatnot. They wanted to be able to participate, but they can't come to a Thursday meeting. So for the next few months, we'll try to see what the videotaping looks like. So you might not know what I do outside of DR, but one of my jobs is I actually do investments. I have an SEC secured website. We're going to pop this on the back of the SEC website with a password protect and a link. It's totally fine. It's in compliance with the DAR policy, no worries. So I just wanted to let you know you'll see that in the next couple weeks when I get it up on the website, and you can view yourself and see how we like it. If we don't get a lot of hits, we won't do it forever, but thought we would try it out to be accommodating for folks. Ladies, you're always my best friends. Thank you for jumping up and taking pictures for the newsletter. You know this is not a skill I have, so thank you. Continue to take pictures and send them in to me, and I love updating for the website. For the newsletter. Just a quick service message. I don't have a lot this month, which is great. Service message on the volunteer hours. People are not being very good about putting their volunteer hours in the national website. Please, I know you guys do so much for DAR and your community and yourselves. Please don't forget to write your hours down on the website. If you need help, just give a shout. We're happy to help you do that. And my last comment is today is the very last day to order merch for DAR. I have t-shirts, I have some bags. I'm going to do one last order, and that's today. So let me know if you'd like something. We're selling the samples that are on the table, so feel free to purchase those. If you'd like a different size, let me know.
Thanks, Emily. You have a report, Lee? Lee has been so hard at work.
Can I use my teacher voice?
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Anybody not be able to hear me? Good. I still remember my teacher voice. Okay. Tia's got writer's cramp again from me. You could thank me, I guess. Today we took care of all of our pre-letters, and there were several of them that I inherited. So we got all of our pre-letters done. We resubmitting all of our supplementals that came back. And as soon as I get Tia away from the microphone, she's got one regular application that is being sent out today. So that is 6 or 7, I've lost count now, applications that the region has signed today.
You know, I'm really not all that competitive, but when I was doing the chapter master report, I saw in there about what accommodations are we making for our members who can't attend. So we're addressing that today. And there's also a couple of contests on about how many new members we can admit. The state one, the Florida State one, is called 2 to 6 and 26. So I think we got that one nailed. We think we're going to get a prize. We don't know. Leslie, do you have a report?
I think you can hear me as well. True? Anybody can't hear? We had talked about having a flag ceremony, and the fire marshal still won't give approval. We need more rain. So stay tuned. That'll be on the list.
There's brush fires everywhere. There are brush fires everywhere.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So we'll continue to do that. Now, many of you are doing things, and this summer you will be visiting cemeteries, sites of history, looking at markers. Please, please, please send those in. Take a picture. Everybody's got a phone. Most of them take great photos. Send them in, and we get credit under CMAR, the Master Report, for doing those things. But if you don't tell us, we don't know, right? So please, please, please let us know what you're doing. I know I've got 3 things in the next month, so I'll be sending those in so you can know what we're doing. And as far as historian goes, there is history everywhere. You may not be looking for it, but there is. So kind of tune your eyeballs in to look for those historical markers that are every state has them. Most towns have them. Take pictures. Take pictures with you next to it and send those in. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Brianne, I'm walking over to you.
I know people don't know where I'm going. It's hard to
So book club is meeting April 2nd. We are reading The Tea Chest, and I have the author on Zoom for us for Q&A. So join us. That's all I have actually. So all the way up here.
No, you left out something.
What? We did. Tia and I donated books to Brian in the genealogy department, Fort Myers Regional Library, just a couple weeks ago, on behalf of our chapter.
Yay. Thank you. And now, I think Heather is going to give us up-to-date, detailed information about our anniversary celebration.
Hey, can everybody hear me? Because I definitely don't have a teacher's voice. Better? Good? Okay. So, our 100th birthday will be 2027. That's amazing, right? That's 100 years. So we have located a venue. I'm super excited about that. Our committee of Emily, Leslie, Brianne, Susie, all helped in researching for venues. And we have locked one down. So our 100th birthday will be February 27th. It's a Saturday, 2027. And it's going to be held at the Collaboratory downtown on Jackson Street. We're gonna do a time frame about 3:30 in the afternoon, and we'll wrap up at 6 p.m. And our state regent, Kim, will be there. And we are going to do a theme, which is dressed through the decades. So we are looking for mannequins and garments through the decades, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I think you got the hint. So if you have any, please reach out to either me or Leslie. That's it.
Very exciting. The Collaboratory, who found it? I think Emily found it. It used to be the train depot. If you've lived here a while, so there's still train tracks in front of it. It's really cool. I'm very excited about it. Let's see. Barb mentioned our delegates to the Continental Congress. I think we'll vote on those next meetings so we can decide who we want to go. So we can have 4 actual delegates. They are the ones who can vote. Anyone can go to the Continental Congress, but to be able to vote on something, you need to be a delegate with your credentials turned in. And we can also have, for each voter, 2 alternates. So keep in mind, well, if you want to volunteer or nominate someone, we'll do that at the next meeting. Does anyone have any other announcements today? No? Well, then we will move on to our special project, Patriots Around Us. Today it's going to be presented by Vicki Urban, Jane Kasserman, and Valerie Costa. And I would like to give a special thanks to Emily for suggesting this problem, because this little project, I'm very much enjoying it and finding it informative. But if you haven't been to one of our meetings, we're taking turns giving information, presenting information about our Patriot ancestors. So today I see Vicki's coming on up to give hers. Where's everybody else? Thank you, Vicki.
Hello, can you hear me? All right, first of all, before I tell you about my Patriot, I also want to thank Emily. I did not volunteer to do this. Emily asked me, she gave me an email, and trying to be polite, I said, okay. I really didn't think I had that much to say about my Patriot. I've done this before in another chapter, and it was really like 1 minute, and I didn't know that much. Because of AI, and because of so many things that have happened, when I started looking into my Patriot, I found out, number one, I had several facts that were totally incorrect. And number two, I actually found out some information that I did not know. So Emily, thank you very much. And for the rest of you who are scared to do it or don't want to do it, I really stress that you should try, because you're going to find out so much more. Okay. I think I got it. My Patriot is John Doerr. He was born in 1748, and he was the third child of Thomas Doerr and Mary Ann Hollinshead. Now, my family was a Quaker family, but Thomas married out of unity, and so he was no longer a Quaker, so his son was able to become a Patriot. John lost his mother at the age of 3 years old. He and his father and his two sisters lived in Cranberry, New Jersey, and he was a farmer, but he enjoyed buying land. And they ended up moving to Sussex, New Jersey. And in 1773, he met and married Susanna Miller. In 1774, they had the first of their 9 children. Now you have to remember that this is 1774, right before the Revolution. They will end up having 5 children during the Revolution. I don't know how much you know about New Jersey. I did. This is one of the things that I did not know. But New Jersey was known as the crossroads of the Revolution. Half of the people did not want to become patriots. Half of the people wanted to stay with England. William Franklin, who was governor, and that is the illegitimate son of Benjamin Franklin, was governor at the time, and he was a Tory. And he and his loyalist friends fought not to get involved. However, by 1775, New Jersey had a number of patriots, and they actually decided to get involved with the revolution. And this is when my Patriot joined. Because New Jersey was the way it was, he really was not in a lot of big battles. They stayed in New Jersey. They were mainly fighting not only the English, but also the loyalist people in New Jersey as well. One of the few battles that they were in, again, something that I did not know, in 1775, Richard Montgomery and Benedict Arnold came up with the idea that they wanted to make Canada the 14th colony, and they invaded Canada. In 1775, it was, I believe in June of 1775, New Jersey troops were called up to go into Canada, and they fought the last battle in Canada, and it was called the Battle of the Three Rivers. One of the farmers in Canada tricked the American soldiers and led them into a swamp. And as a result, 400 American soldiers died, and no British died. They were forced to retreat, and they went to Fort Ticonderoga. That's essentially what I have learned about my patriot, and I'm very proud of him. When he got out, he stayed in New Jersey for a while, but then in 1803 or 1805, nobody knows which, he and his family took off and went to Ohio. In Ohio, they settled in Trumbull County, and he again bought land, as did his family. Half of the family settled in Pennsylvania, half settled in Pennsylvania, half settled in Ohio. And that's where my patriot lived and finally passed away. One other, I think, interesting fact, out of his 9 children, he ended up having 64 grandchildren. I think if you will look at your patriots, and each one of them went on, and I've decided I'm going to trace it and just see how many patriots actually show up, and I think you're going to find your family will do that as well. So that is my story, and again, Emily, thank you.
Jane? Jane's up next.
Hey, can you all hear me? I have a teacher voice too. Maybe I'll need it. Okay, I really wanted to give credit to the registrar at the time who got me in, and that was Marge Hertz. Between Marge and Carolyn Ford, the beloved librarian at the public library, they managed to find this wilderness person and find my connection. And I also want to thank Lee Moody for currently helping us with our supplementals and giving the time. Thank you. My patriot's name was George Swinehart. He was born in Monocacy, Maryland in 1754. His grandparents had come from Germany in 1721 and followed an Indian trail to the fledgling settlement of Monocacy. And there they helped to build it, and along with a sizable farm that they had. But in the French and Indian War, Monocacy burned, along with the log cabin Lutheran church they had built. So Johann's son Gabriel and 6 sons, including George, decided to go further into the frontier. This time they went to what was claimed by both Virginia and Pennsylvania. George got married, okay, and to Catherine Day. And since the area where George and Catherine had settled was claimed by both Pennsylvania and Virginia, the Revolutionary War volunteers there served in the militia and regular army units from both colonies. George and his brothers volunteered to serve, and George first served as a frontier ranger. The Westmoreland County Rangers in the Revolutionary War were crucial, locally raised militia units tasked with defending the Pennsylvania and Virginia backcountry from the British allied Native Americans. Okay. I'm going to skip a little bit here, but I wanted you to know that there were many, many atrocities in the war and the frontier, unlike the war in the East. As you know from your history, from watching the Revolutionary War series by Ken Burns, reading history books from David McCullough, perhaps, the pioneers, you know that it was a totally different situation in the frontier, and they were way into the frontier. Thank you. Sometimes the farmers would go out in the fields with their sons and never return. Sometimes they would return and their wives and their families were either murdered or disappeared. The cattle were taken and stolen. The crops were stolen. And there was starvation. They were tasked with the militia, which George later entered, a loosely formed militia, helped to protect the settlers around Fort Pitt and throughout the county. A part of the county later became Washington County, Pennsylvania, his part. They were established for defensive purposes, to prevent rather than provoke a general war in the West. In 2022, the Daughters of the American Revolution memorialized the defenders of the American frontier by placing a monument at Poke Run Presbyterian Church east of Pittsburgh. George later served in the militia. Let's see, the members usually relied on their own personnel and weapons, and it's not clear from the very sparse historical records which engagements George took part in, but he served in whatever capacity was needed and wherever it took him. Now, you know, I don't know much what he did, so I decided to focus on what he did not do. So I looked through all the records, and nowhere in the atrocities and the raids that took place did I find his name. So I was very proud that I didn't find his name. Let's see, where am I? Okay. Since the fledgling, as you know, the fledgling U.S. government was essentially financially broke, the veterans of the Revolutionary War were paid for their service through land grants. So when Congress created the United States Military District in June of 1796 in the Ohio Territory, included in this district was all of modern Tuscarawas County. Try saying that fast. In Ohio. George received a sizable area, so once again he headed west into a new frontier. George was influential in establishing the town of New Philadelphia, brotherly love, in Ohio, on the banks of the Tuscarawas River after Ohio became a state in 1803. This area contained the site of Fort Laurens, which was the westernmost American fort in the war, as well as close to the site of the Gnadenhutten massacre of the the Delaware Indians, the Christian Delaware Indians, who were trained under the wing of the Moravian missionaries. That was one of the worst atrocities in the war. But this new town grew and prospered, and it's one of the cradles of Ohio history. If you go there today, you can go to the outdoor drama, Trumpet in the Land, written by Paul Green, which is really an eye-opener for the Revolutionary War history. You can go to the reconstructed settlement of Schoenbrunn, which is in New Philadelphia, again established by the Moravian missionaries, and it was the first settlement, a non-native settlement in Ohio. And I know Marietta gets all the credit because it was the first permanent, but Schoenbrunn had to be deserted during the war, and the Indians had to leave. Overall, I'm proud of my patriot, George Schweinhart, and his family, not only for defending the settlers of Westmoreland County, and the best of my knowledge not engaging in the brutality, but I'm equally proud of his later efforts to bring a strong community in the wilderness, which has prospered and tried to adhere to the finest principles of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And we also have Valerie Costa.
It's actually both of us.
Valerie and Beth, the 2 for 1.
Yeah, yes, you get double here.
So 2 weeks ago, Beth emailed me and said, I'm going to volunteer to do our Patriot. All you have to do is show up. I have all the information done. So I said, fine, sounds good to me. So here she is.
Yes. So yes, and you know, sometimes it's hard to tell us apart, but this is Valerie, and I'm Beth. And our patriot is Martinus Decker. It's believed that the Deckers originally came to the U.S. from Holland and settled in what is now called Port Jervis in New Jersey. Well, actually it was Port Jervis, New York at the time. It's at that corner of New Jersey and New York, and sometimes some of the records we found said New Jersey, sometimes they said New York. But it was sometime after 1715. But according to the baptismal records that we found in the Dutch Reformed Church in Kingston, New Jersey, Martinus was born on January 20th, 1733. Now, although we don't quite know the lineage of Martinus Decker, his service to the American Revolution is well documented. Martinus's second wife, Mary Pendleton, which is not our ancestor, we came from Martinus's first wife, but Martinez's second wife in 1839 applied for a Revolutionary War pension. So her application includes many eyewitnesses of Martinez's service to the country, and all of those eyewitness reports are now in the National Archives. In 1775, he signed a pledge of association, which shows his belief in freedom and liberty even before the Declaration of Independence was signed. Between 1777 and 1778, many of the small settlements in the Delaware River Valley were fortified. Usually logs were put around the houses. And Martinez's home and the adjacent buildings were now called Fort Decker. And there's a sign to this day, you can go visit Fort Decker. There's a sign along the road. It's unclear exactly what it looked like, but on one account said as many as 40 men were garrisoned there. Now, Martinez was part of the Orange County and the Ulster County militias. That was very common. Militias were units that were called up to go fight somewhere, and then they were disbanded and they went home. So it was not uncommon for men to belong to several different militias that were called up at different times. In 1779, Decker's unit went to 10 Mile River area, where it was rumored there were spies in the area. They captured 2 British loyalists who were trying to get messages to the Indians in Niagara. After their capture, Martinez attended the General Court-Martial. One of the spies was sentenced to death, and the other was imprisoned for the remainder of the war. In the spring of 1779, George Washington ordered Count Pulaski to take his cavalry and leave the area. This left it open to Indian raids. And there was an Indian named Joseph Brant, who was a Mohawk, and he was involved with the British loyalists. And they led raiding parties after the cavalry left. On July 20th, 1779, Brant raided Fort Decker and burned it to the ground. Martinez was not there at the time. He was scouting in the south. But after the raid, they chased Brant up the Delaware Valley, but he escaped. Between 1779 and 1793, Martinez rebuilt his home. He placed a marker dated 1793, which remains in place to this day. The home went through many owners, but in 1970, it was purchased by the Minisink Valley Historical Society. And in 1974, the building was listed in the National Register of Historic Places. It is now a museum. It can be toured the last Saturday of the month from May to October. And also there's many other special events that go on at that home. Now the site is the Old Stone House, and there's a book written about it. It's titled Perseverance and Vigilance, which was Martinez's personal motto. So, thank you.
Does anyone have any further business to bring before the meeting?
I also don't have a good yelling voice, although my Italian husband makes up for that. So Barb Hawkins and I run the member committee, and we've put together a members course. On the DAR website, there's a number of videos you can watch, and you can sign up formally and get credit for it, and you can buy a pin. We're going to do it informally, so that means anyone, either prospective, new members, can come do it. So we're going to do it our second one is going to be this coming Monday. So we'll watch a couple videos and talk about it and have some snacks. We had one before and we had a lot of fun. So let me know after the meeting if you'd like to come, and I'll give you directions to my house. It'll be Monday, 10 to probably 12 or so. So now I'm going to go to new business. About a week ago, I saw something on Facebook when I was looking at our website, and it was called Daughters Advocating for Restoration. And I started reading it a little bit, and I was like, restoring what? I didn't know what they were restoring. Well, it seems in 2023 there was a new bylaw or something passed where they changed the qualifications to become a daughter. And that was, you could get in if you had an altered birth certificate. So I didn't understand. I started reading a little bit more, and a little bit of it concerned me because it's not quite the DAR that I joined 10 years ago. And I wanted to do some more research. I didn't have time. So I'm hoping someone in this room can explain it, what that means and what the restoration is. Oh, Leslie, do you know?